Guess who's back? Yeah, you had to make a sound. Whatever. It, yeah, it's been quite a while. Yeah, I know. 2 years, I think, now, since I've been back from Russia, and I think over probably almost 3 years since the last video. I'll check. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I felt like I had to make a video, especially in light of the recent presidential debates. That was a that was a mess. I I believe that overall it was embarrassing for, of course, the country, but more importantly for, like, just ourselves, I guess. Like, we let this happen. Like, we I spend a lot of time wondering where politicians come from. Like, it's ordinary people who are decide that they want to go into the public arena, and they want to make the changes that you know that are needed in their communities. And I'd like to believe that most people feel that way about their jobs, but it doesn't. The trends and just the stuff that we see, and the, the options that we're given in these elections especially, just don't really make sense or add up. They don't really reflect those views, I think. But anyways, to get back on topic, a quick explanation of why I disappeared for so long. I ended up having problems with my health while I was abroad, and um, yeah, it took some time to recover from that, and also recover from some things after that. And I just don't want to get into it right now, but I'll make a separate video for that maybe in the future if I ever feel like sharing. But anyways, I just have a few things I wanted to comment on about the debate, because really, what was that? Um, for me, I'll start with Trump. For me, I thought, like, some of what he said was valid. I don't agree with everything that he says, of course. Like, I don't know. He kind of bases a lot of what he does on, I think, more what he believes is true, rather than, like, looking at actual facts. But that's just me. Maybe he's getting manipulated, or that's, I don't know. Whatever. Honestly, I think some of what Trump said was valid. There was that thing he said of the states closing their borders for political reasons, and I don't see why. Like, that's not such a far-fetched thing to believe. That's totally in the realm of possibility, because people do messed up stuff just to get ahead in whatever way possible. And politics, I feel like that's maybe the worst arena to find examples of that. Um, Even going as far as admitting that, like, he took advantage of tax codes that were put in, I think, in the Obama administration, and then also, like, how historically presidents who, like, cut taxes have done to try to keep businesses here. But I don't know, there's something wrong with that too, but it's a topic for another conversation. Something I have a problem with that he does, though, he makes everything that he says sound revolutionary. Like, every little new thing that he does, like every new thing that he believes that he's the only one who's ever does, he then talks about like it's like the most amazing new thing ever. But really, it's just the product of the situation. Like, he's the 45th president, and, like, there wasn't so much technology so many years ago. And then the way that we're implementing it now, getting more and more into how I hope one day our government will run, some kind of blend between people and technology. It's a cool skill he has, not gonna lie. I find it a little bit impressive, but also baffling, because it kind of scares me that he does get people convinced on these ideas that he's doing some amazing job, when really he's just fluffing up the stuff that he's either done and hasn't been working, or tried to do but isn't passing because of how politicized everything is. I like that he also brings up the comments that Biden and Hillary made about black people being, or black children really, when they were talking about it in context of being super predators. and it's something that doesn't get mentioned too much, I think, in the more democratic circles. Um, like how do you make up for that? And also, like, I never forgot the whole debacle with the Breakfast Club. Oh my god, that alone should have been enough to like turn people off from voting for him, I think, personally. But I was shocked. Nothing seemed to, it didn't seem to affect anyone or anything, and I comment about it every once in a while just for the hell of it, but no one seems to ever say anything about it. Biden. This man, I think he's too old to be president, to be honest. But then again, like, I watched him debate, and he's pretty sharp. He's actually, I noticed that the moderator, he kind of almost tripped him up. The Biden was actually on topic, and the moderator was trying to change to another question, but then forgot to ask the question, it seemed. If you go look, and I don't know, he seemed confused, but he wasn't like in the wrong. I don't think they did it on purpose, did they? I'll put a link in the video that I used, that I watched. It's at 30 minutes, 32 seconds. So yeah, he didn't seem to be, too lost in the head as I was expecting, which is my actual main motivation for watching the debate. But no, he was surprisingly on point. But it's just, the man, like, the way he talks to people about certain issues, like especially COVID. I think one of the lines he said was, guess what? Millions of people died, and I'm just like, how are you gonna sit up there, or stand up there rather? Sorry, stand up there and tell people, guess what? This many people died. Like, obviously we know that this is happening. Like, how much more? I don't know. Like, over. There has to be a word. I can't find it. I need to expand my vocabulary, really. Yeah, so overall, I wasn't too impressed with his argument. Like, he just used the same old Trump bad, me better argument like every other candidate, and it's just the most played out, easy, cheap, like, I don't know, not technique, strategy for trying to win this election. Just like, is he really that bad? For someone who has no experience in politics, I think he's doing okay. He could be worse. Like, I was expecting worse, really, but I'd rather like a shot in the dark than like the other candidate, because nobody would convince me otherwise, other than arguments that I don't know. Very, very, very difficult to explain all of that right now. But I had a couple of questions that I looked up throughout the video. I think I didn't know what some of this stuff was, like court packing and filibusters. I've heard of filibusters before, but I kind of forgot what exactly that was. And then when I looked it up and realized that it was when they basically talk a bill to death, and it's just like a way of ending something without actually, So here's the actual definition if you want to take a look. How it started in the Roman times, they did this to prevent laws too, and why that is a thing, I don't know. Like, there are people who have gone and filled in the time of a filibuster reading cookbooks and just talking about all kinds of mundane stuff, and just, why do people get paid to do this? Like, politicians shouldn't even, being a politician shouldn't even be a thing. That should be like something you do on the side. Like, anybody, I feel like anybody could be a politician, because if you are in a society, like, you should be able to contribute, like, if you're not voting, if not volunteering, if not like community service and outreach, or just like doing after school activities. It's just like all this stuff ties together. You have a say in certain things that affect your life, and if you want to do more than that, that should be up to you personally. But that shouldn't be an entire career, like an entire career based on just how to govern, how to basically like sway people to whatever you want, really, because in my opinion, government is just about power and control, and only the people who want all of the power and all of the control, like, go out after those positions. So to just have one dedicated area of politics just attracts the worst people, I think. I mean, I'm not saying all politicians are terrible, like cold-blooded bastards or anything, but a lot of them don't strike me as very relatable. They come from what kind of a background? Most politicians in America, would you say they come from? Middle class families? Not too many of like my complexion, but like, yeah, mostly white. They're kind of well off, like usually, or if they work, not all of them. I'm not saying they're all like that, but some of them, work from lower class or more impoverished backgrounds, and but then their families and then their families after don't really follow in suit with knowing the perspectives of others. Like, I was thinking how Obama would have felt like being poor and black and when he was growing up compared to now. Like, what kind of opportunities that weren't in his time appear now, and in what way could he have used or taken advantage of those opportunities? Like, it makes me think a lot about what's actually possible now, and the way that I see a lot of Democrats trying to, I don't know, a lot of white Democrats, I feel, when they introduce or involve like a black person in their conversation and try to explain the reasons for poverty, the reasons for our our inability to change our course of living, or however way you want to phrase it. It's because of outside factors. Like, it's not our fault because of history and all of that. But I think history can affect you to such an extent. I don't think it's so debilitating, so like restricting that you should even propagate that's even a reason for this. I just wanted to correct myself. I'm not saying that history isn't a reason. Of course, I believe it is part of the reason of our inequality, but it's definitely not as significant as people are making it out to be, in my opinion. Because one, it does nothing to help the other person. You're basically saying there's nothing you can do. You're in a shit situation, and you better get used to it. Like, what does that do? Like, no, your hard work and your personality and your like ability to do what you want to do won't impress anyone. And I also looked up court packing. Court packing is just like increasing the number of court justices in the Supreme Court, and I don't know why. I think it would be a good idea to increase the number of Supreme Court justices, just so like it's a little bit more diverse, because I think just having 9 people doesn't equally represent everyone's like every possible outlook of America. Like, could you break the demographic, or like the however you would break up how people stand politically in America into 9 categories, like evenly? No, I don't think you could even do that. That's not even the point. Why do we only have 9 court justices? And what would happen if we added more? Wouldn't that make things quicker, or does it slow the process down of going through each major case? If anyone has any like answers for these things, I'd be happy to read them and like look at whatever resources you could give me. I'm learning every day, and I just want to make sure that I'm getting, good information. Also, another comment I wanted to make: who the hell comes up with these questions? Shouldn't it be like the American people are voting for these people, so why don't they kind of make a poll or something with the questions that they want to ask each candidate, and ask those, like, the most popular ones? Why are they asking them these dumb questions like, do you think that we're going to have a V-shaped economic recovery thing, or a K-shaped one? And I'm just like, I looked this up. It's literally just a pattern of how we would recover. Like, one is more stratified, like each household median would be recovering at a different rate, and then the other one was just like they'll all be recovering at the same rate. That's the V one. But I'm just like, that's a dumb question. It's just like, hey, can you guess how we're gonna recover from this? Like, you think it's gonna be like all together? We're all in this together, or like, I don't think that's such an important question. Like, it doesn't matter. They're not statisticians. They're not doing the math. They don't know. Like, they're not doing the research. Or, I mean, maybe it's a question of what kind of an assumption are you making? Like, do you think that it would be easier for someone with a lot of money to recover from this? Well, I think maybe, but at the same time, we don't know what's gonna happen. They have plans for things, so maybe he expects some different outcome. I don't know, but I still think it's a dumb question. All it's doing is hyping people up for stuff that they don't even know what they're talking about. Which is why I think that we need more people in STEM in politics, and that's kind of sad that, I don't know, there seems to be a fear of people in STEM going into politics for whatever reason. I mean, I was so excited when I saw the Dr. Carson run, but then when I started like watching interviews with the man, I was just like, he's a little bit nutty, and no offense to him, like, I'm a little bit religious myself. I say a little bit because I am not so strict, and maybe that makes me, the worst of the worst, but I respect his views. I just think he doesn't, he lives in a different reality, that's all I'm saying. I don't understand. So yeah. Was it just me, or was the moderator, like, extremely nice? I think he was a saint, like, at the end where I wouldn't have thanked them for all of that after what both of them put him through. I mean, especially Trump, the man will not shut up. I think they just should put shock collars on them, and then whenever they interrupt each other, just give them the juice. After all of this, I stick by my decision to not vote. I just don't think it's not worth my time to vote for either of these freaking lunatics. Not impressed with either one's argument for voting for them or against the other. Biden is, of course, the most qualified one, not gonna lie. He has experience, and I think he would do an okay job, but just on my own principles, I don't feel like it's worth voting for him, and I guess still open to being swayed until it's too late, but no regrets. Don't think my vote is really counted for anything here anyways. New York has just always been a blue state, and even if I voted for whomever, it wouldn't have made a difference in the end, in my opinion. It's kind of a sad fact for a lot of places, I think, where certain states are their vote has more of a sway on actual final elections than other states, which maybe is supposed to drive people to move to those states, maybe, but I don't know. Another question I have, why is it that so many people stay living on the coasts of the United States instead of moving into the, cheaper, more effective, I guess, areas to vote in the United States? It's not like there aren't any other cities besides, like, California and New York. That face when I realized I meant to say states instead of cities. Anyways, I hope I didn't ramble on for too long. I think after the editing, this shouldn't be more than 10-15 minutes, I hope. Wanted to say a couple more things. I know I'm a freaking chatterbox. Is it just me, or does this political system we have, feel kind of, like, antiquated? There has to be a better way of electing people that we think best represent like our views and our beliefs than the way that we do it now. Like, why couldn't we have asked the questions that we wanted to ask? Why did the moderators decide for us? I mean, not the moderator, whoever constructs all of that. And can there be a way to somehow dissolve this two-party system that we have going on? There has to be more categories we could have or something that are just as valid as Democrat or Republican or even, the other green or yellow or whatever colors we would like to use. Maybe then we wouldn't have this stupid amount of paranoia between just two parties where they think one is trying to take advantage of the situation over the other. Like with Trump thinking the Democrat states are closing for political reasons. His paranoia could be valid, but you don't know. It's the situation that we're living in. Anyways, I hope to continue making these videos more regularly. I'm aiming for once a week, but realistically I think maybe one every other week until I figure out how to do this more effectively. And the next topic I think will probably be on my thoughts of the next generation. I think they're going to be really a lot of challenges to deal with, considering that distance learning is really easy to just ignore, and who knows if people are actually learning this time. You can look up anything on the internet. I worry about them because the other day I asked one of my siblings about geography and I was baffled that he couldn't answer the question. It was if he could name a country like in one continent, and he couldn't name a single one, and it blew my mind and kind of worried me, because then I wondered what else he wasn't already aware of, and then what state other children might be in, because he goes to a relatively okay school, so he's fortunate in that regard. It's a little bit, I don't know, gloomy, scary, makes me want to write. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.